were just going down there to get Gary Salzberg. He's not there to take care of him anymore. He has people working. He's got that much money that he's got people on his property taking care of the birds and stuff. But they're not pigeon guys.
Gotcha.
I'm telling Jerry, okay, if there's a bird off of 778, I want it. And Jerry's like, okay, if there's one off of 778, he might be flying one off of 778. Okay, you can have that one. And then he said, 23 and 343 are down here. You could have those ones. They're old, you know what I mean? They're old. They're on their last freaking leg. I'm like, okay. So we gonna go get them and get them out of there. We get down there, we finally go through the books, we find a black hen off of 778. She's mine. I'm like, whoo, score. I got 23 and 343. I was happy about that because these are famous pigeons, but they're at their last leg. You know what I mean? We ain't getting too much more out of them. It was really a dilemma for me, Steve, because I was already doing really well. I ain't won the World Cup yet. I'm doing super well with the birds I have. But I'm picking up the grandparents to my birds, you know what I mean? I got these young cats that are superstars, you know what I mean? They're showing out already for me, and I'm already got a direction of where I want to go.
Yeah.
So what I do is I kind of put myself on hold for a second, and I try to get all those in for 1 year. 1 year, I just use those or whatever. I got one baby out of 23 and 343.
Oh.
I sold that bird to Ron Phelps. I don't know what he paid me. He paid me some crazy number for it. Fucking a knockout, short face, it's fucking beautiful. Ron Phelps would do flies. He would come down here on a weekend, rent a car so he didn't have to be locked in with anybody, and he would go see people. I love the guy. He would come and he was very classy. He'd be like, what's your best pair, Robert? Like, oh, I got, this pair. He was like, can I see him? I was like, yeah. So I put him on the cage and we look at him. He's like, oh, very nice pair. And then a couple days later, he would hand write you a letter thanking you for letting him come to the yard. Just very classic. Offer you a crazy amount of money for that pair. And you even say yes. Go. And then the money would come and the boss would come.
Dang.
That's how Ron would treat you, you know what I mean? Well, that's what you have to do, I think, Steve. Really, that's the key. Like, people can get like a Lester Montgomery. I'm gonna use him as an example, and I love the guy.
Yeah.
I never saw a good kid at his house.
Right.
I saw some great individual birds pulling out of there, coming out the sky when I would go there. He would fly a few birds. Never saw even a full kid. He couldn't do it. He just wasn't good at breeding them and handling them. But he had as good a birds as you could get your hands on. You couldn't buy no better birds. I always tell people he had the best of Robert Parker and the best of Jerry Higgins because money was not an issue.
So he could buy whatever he wanted.
Whatever he wanted. He would be like, you get done with that one, I want it. He would say, okay, I'm done, I want $1,000. He would be like, here, $2, here. It was like, here. No, it was no big deal. He wanted the bird.
Fresh publishing deal, shit, I went to Jerry's house.
And I tell people, like, all the time, the birds are traceable. People will find out. You know, like, I've sold birds to people. And I ain't gonna use no names because I know you video. I've sold birds to people and they come back. You know, people come back to me and they'll be like, I have this bird. I'm like, how'd you get that bird? Yeah, and then I'll go back in my records. Oh, okay, I went to this person on this deal or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course they want a pedigree. You know, they look and they want to know what it is. I'm not so keen to give that out.
Yeah.
You didn't get it from me. Get it from the person you got the bird from. I'm usually pretty cool about that kind of thing. It's just that I get mad when the guy don't give the credit where the credit is due. You know what I mean? And so I always tell people, Jerry gave me my start.
Yeah.
But there ain't a Jerry pigeon on the property anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're gone. I cultivated to myself.
Yeah.
And I've still been consistent. And the 2 years that our club won that, I was the most valuable flyer. Both the years we won it. Hi, this is Robert Parker, and this is my story. This is QSDC.
So how long have you been into rollers, period?
I've been raising rollers since I raised pigeons. The first birds I saw was when I was in elementary school. Coming home from school, I caught a pigeon. And then I took that pigeon home. And at the time, I didn't even know about rollers or pigeons. And one of the kids, it was my brother's friend. He lived maybe 4 or 5 houses down on the other side. He had rollers. So the word got out that I had this pigeon, and then he came and spoke to me. And he flew like a roll down probably from me. And I saw that bird roll down. I thought that was amazing. Not a bird could do that. And I was hooked, bro. I just was hooked after that. So, yeah, that's how I got started. Probably 3rd grade.
So when you got older and you got into competition, were you already privy to the information of birds being better than other birds, or did you get
No, I'm gonna tell you how that happened. So I was privileged to be in the CPRC, and I came up with the CPRC. So I had met a guy who was selling birds at the Chino auction, and I can't remember his name, but he was pretty competitive. He was a competitive guy with the CPRC, but he didn't want his birds too deep. He didn't want his birds definitely not to hit.
Yeah.
Because he was a competition guy.
Yeah.
So he would take all those birds that were too deep or whatever, he'd take them to the auction. I would buy them all. And then he kind of could see something in me. He could see the love, and he said, well, you know, if you serious about these birds? There's competition. I was like, what? Competitions? And he's like, yeah, we're gonna have one on Saturday. He said, Leroy Washington. He gave me, Leroy Washington's our president. Call him. He'll tell you where we're starting. And you can go see how these guys do it, okay? So I was like, at that age, I was probably like 13 or 14. And I called my brother, who was a little bit older and could drive. And I said, hey, can you take me to this flyer on a Saturday? And he was like, yeah, I'll take you. So we drove out to Ukaipa. I don't remember the guy's name who flew, but he had a beautiful setup, bro. He was like, to me, he was like a scientist, and this shit was all like individuals with little cars. And I was like, damn. I had this little doghouse, dude, with some 2x4s holding it up, right? I was like, oh my God, these guys are professionals. And then Jerry was there. I met Jerry that day, and I met Ron Duncan that day. And Ron lived around the corner from my mom's house. There was a school in between us, and Ron lived on the other side. And so once they figured out who I was, because they were kind of asking questions, they wanted to know who this little black kid was. You know what I mean? They figured out that I lived close to Ron. Then Ron was like, right away, Ron was like, oh, I lived out. I'll take him home, so my brother didn't have to stay. Yeah. So I hung out with those guys that whole day, and then we came home, and then Ron kind of knew where I lived. Ron had straight in some of my birds, but he didn't even want to give me my birds back.
For real?
I had a couple deep ones that I had got from a guy named Vernon Brown back in the day, and Ron had them. I went over there, I said, oh, that's my bird. I might have been like, we picked it out, and Ron was like, well, how do you know it's your bird? I'm like, look, I know it's my bird. I just picked it out. Ron's got 100 pigeons. I just picked out the one I said was mine. He knew it wasn't his.
Right.
Anyways, I ended up getting the bird back. But that's how I met those guys, and I tell you, I am such a competitive person that when I met those guys, they were at this level already, you know, and I was just starting, had no clue.
Right.
And then I was just not gonna be beat. I mean, like for me, I'm such a competitive person that I was gonna do whatever it took to get to their level.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was kind of just grew up with these world-class flyers.
See, that helps.
That helped me tremendously, bro, because I didn't know no different. So, you know, I'm not taking an ass beating like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I might take one, but I'm gonna try. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna get beat, because I'm gonna get beat. But I'm gonna put the effort in to be competitive. So pretty quickly I became competitive, and I can remember that I went from maybe like I remember being like a little kid, and then Richard Espinosa came over, and I had started collecting some good birds. I had been listening to these guys, and I had went to people's houses, and I picked up some good little birds, and they were starting to perform. And we had a fly, and Richard came and he flew. Espinosa came and he judged the birds, and I flew a pretty decent kid. Didn't win, but I flew a decent kid. And after that, Richard, the next day, he bragged to everybody. He was like, "You should have seen this kid's birds, this kid." And I could see from that day on, I had respect of a roller man. I was a roller man. I was a kid before. I was just like a kid fucking birds. After that, dude, Richard talked to me like, "You fucking birds." You know what I mean? Like, you're one of us. You're one of us. Yeah, you're welcome now. I'm one of you guys. Ron is a good dude. I love the guy. Like, he's like a brother to me. I mean, he helped me out tremendously, bro. He's probably a big reason of what the success that I've had is because he took me kind of under his wing, and he took me when they would go visit the top guys, and I was just a kid, you know what I mean? He'd be like, just be at my house and just jump in Jerry's van. Don't ask no questions, just jump in. You know? Just get in. Because they probably didn't want a little kid hanging out with them, you know what I mean? But I was, Ron could just see that I had that love, and probably could see that I had some talent too. Yeah. So he was like, just get in, just go. So when they would go see a Homer Cordero or a Charlie Saltano or a Bob Scott, you know, wherever they were going, he was just like, just jump in, don't ask, jump in, because you're going with us, you know. And then eventually they're gonna like me anyways because I'm a pigeon guy, and we can't help but like other pigeon guys, you know what I mean? If we see that you got love and I got love, we're gonna like each other. Ron Duncan, when he won that World Cup, I helped Ron win that, and I not only did I give him the birds, I helped him get started. When he qualified, Ron, I'm gonna say, recruited me.
Yeah.
He asked me for some help. So what I did was I put everything that I do, prepping for a big fly, I put it in writing for him. Fly days, what we feeding them, how much we're feeding them. And then Ron would fly those birds, and he would call me every single day and tell me exactly what they did. Wow. Then I went over to his house on my day off coming into the fly. I didn't even fly my birds. I went over to his house, flew his birds. I watched his kit flying, and I made some adjustments on what I had seen. And I made him fly his second kit. And I'm looking for birds that are good enough to go up, to promote. I helped that boy. I helped him, and he won. You know what I mean? He's a champion. He's a champion because of it. And after he won, he forgot.
Did he?
He completely forgot it. But everybody knew, because Jerry was in them. Jerry was talking to me. We were all Johnny. They all knew. They all knew. Right. But Ron was like, I'm a champion. Ron is a good dude. I love the guy. Like, it's like a brother to me. Like a brother. You know, you fight with your brother sometimes, right?
Yeah, no question.
But Ron, and I'm gonna tell it straight up. Ron had good people with pigeons. He knew good people with pigeons. He was friends with me and Jerry. and we were the top dogs right then. You know what I mean? He
Right.
helped me out tremendously, bro. He's probably a big reason of what the success that I've had is because he took me kind of under his wing. I could honestly say at the beginning, he was a cop. You know what I mean? He was a cop, and I was hanging out there, man, and he could see that I had a love for the birds because I would call him. And I didn't call when I just wanted to go buy a bird or, hey, you find the birds? Okay, can I come over? He'd never tell me no. So I would always go over and just watch his birds fly, hang out with them, and he could see that I wasn't asking for anything except for his knowledge. You know, and that's what I thought when I'd be driving over to his house. I'd be like, man, maybe he'll share a secret with me today. That would be my thought. Maybe today he'll
give me a jewel.
Yeah. So I just sitting there listening. You know what I mean? Like we talking right now. I was just sitting there, just listening, just waiting for him to drop something on me that I could use. Yeah. And had the greatest time just hanging out with the man and watching his birds fly and learning a lot from him. And what I was gonna say was he texted me a little message on New Year's Eve, and I texted him back. And when I texted him, and he texted me again and said, "You brought tears to my eyes." And I swear he brought tears to my eyes too. Just to hear that because he's been so much to me.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do
Sweet
with
guy,
her.
man. He's always treated me great.
Yeah,
he's called me and said, "Steve, you need to come by. You need to come by and pick up this. I got this kit. You need to come pick up.
Right,
it won't be here." And then he called me back and said, "Steve, man, if you hadn't came and got the birds, they wouldn't be available. I had to overfly."
Yeah. I've been there when we've had those overflies, and I feel horrible, but it's like if they went over that hill at his house,
that's it.
Sayonara, they ain't coming back, and they would end up all in Moreno Valley, all in the valley down here, you know. So that means 30 years later, I'm still competitive.
Period.
Yeah. So that's for me. That is what it's about. Because you can't win every time. You know, you're gonna lose more than you win. Yeah. I tell people that shit all the time. You're gonna lose more than you win. But if I have them nervous when they come to this house, they know that I could be beat. If I'm in first place and I'm not going to Roberts, shit, he could get me. Yeah. Yes, I can get you. Yeah. And if I have a good day, I'm going to get you. Yeah, I'm going to get you. You're going to get got. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. So, yeah, I love that. And I might not win. You know what I mean? Right. I love it. Actually, I love it when it's real close. Like I had a good fly and you had a good fly. And we're watching this judge like he total it up. Yeah. So you're like, okay, oh shit. Yeah. Like, you got him. I don't know if I got him.
Yeah, see, I'm not into beating somebody at their worst.
Right, yeah,
like
what'd you do?
If you didn't score big, I'm not going to be proud to say, dang, I beat Robert Parker today. That's not going to be enough for me. Right. I want you to be at your best. Right. And me at my best so we can see what we're doing as trainers.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have something to measure against. Don't meet me when the hawk came and got me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you beat me, okay, the hawk hit me, bro. Like, really?
Yeah. No, people brag about that.
I know. Dude, we had a fly, one of these Battle of the Clubs flies, bro. We had a fly. We were battling a pretty good club. I don't remember who it was. But I had a good team going at that time, and I knew it. So we went to the first guy's house, Bill. I think Bill DQ'd. Then we went to Johnny's house. And me and Johnny are kind of like, the heavy hitters. Right. I need Johnny to cool his weight and help me and Marshall, help us win this thing. Johnny had a horrible fly. We went to Juan. Jimenez was flying at the time, and Juan was one of our heavy hitters. Yeah. Juan almost DQ'd. A commie came by and kicked this kid back up, and he did okay. We still was way behind. Yeah. Then we came over here, man. I took that Johnny and I said, Johnny, I'm gonna do this shit by myself. And Johnny looked at me like, "You gonna do it by yourself?" I said, "I'm gonna do this shit by myself." Yeah. We came in and I flew the kid. 10 minutes and I had like 400 points. They were kicking ass. And guess what? The red tail hit him in 10 minutes. I had an 18 flip mode called an 18 bird break. As they came over the house, they went. I was like, I got him. Hawk hit him right after that break. They never scored another point. I almost had enough to beat them by myself. I didn't. Dang. They beat me by about maybe 50 points. But with Juan and everybody else, we got the win. We still got the win. Yeah. But if that hawk hadn't hit me, I was going to whip that ass that day. And even people were saying, if that hawk didn't hit Robert, you know what I mean? But that was a good fly. I had a good team. I had put my time in, you know what I mean? I knew I had a good team. I was a little nervous because we were flying. We flew all those people before me, so I knew I was flying later. And when I fly here after about 10, red tail's going to be on me. And I like to fly before that. At least my good kid. I knew I was going to have a problem. Yeah. Like I said, once I got 10 minutes into it, I got hit. It was over, but I had enough fun.
And the birds looking amazing.
just took off. Yeah, I was fortunate that I was able to, like I said, be in this club. It was the 1 year after I won the World Cup, I think in 2000. Just using this just to show you the quality of the people I was training with. CPRC was strong at that point, bro. We were flying 20 members. We had a waiting list to get in our club at that point. In 2000, Jerry finished in the world. Jerry finished 4th. I finished 5th. Tim Decker finished 7th. So that's 3 guys in the same club in the top 10 in the world. I don't know if that's ever even happened before. You know what I mean? You put 3 guys in the top 10. Yeah. So that's the kind of quality of guys I had to fly against regularly. You know what I mean? Every month I was flying against the Tim Deckers, the Jerry Higgins. Randy Gibson came up. Like, Randy was consistently trying to beat us. You know what I mean? Gotcha. We almost became enemies, but we had like a respect. We were like competitors, like the Lakers and the Celtics. One of us, you know what I mean? We had that kind of respect for each other. I can't say I liked him, but I respected that he was trying. He was working really hard. Randy was the competitor. Yeah. Randy was the guy that was going to push you forward. Abel and I came up together. Like, he has a couple years on me. He's maybe a couple years older than me, but we were kind of like the youngest guys, so we kind of hung out together because we and him were like the teenagers. Yeah. And everybody else was grown men with families and stuff, right? Yeah. And so Abel and I, we would kind of like share ideas. His ideas were a little different than mine, but you could see he was real. You know, he's done well with the birds as well. Yeah. So the quality of the competitors that I was, thrown in with, I'm sure that helped me be, what I've become or what I've done with the birds. There's no doubt that influence, helped me to be. And then just my personality of, I'm not going to be beat. You know what I mean? It's like, if we have a competition about something, you could beat me, but I'm going to give you everything I got. You know what I mean? I'm going to lose. I understand that. But I'm going to try hard as I can. I will die before I can see it. I'll die. So you have to beat me. You know what I mean? And if you beat me, that's good. I'm going to tell you, the first time we went down to Lake Elsinore and I saw Johnny fly, he was not in our club. So it was kind of like a show and tell. Like, we was going down there to see what Johnny was doing. And we was about to bring him into the club. And Johnny flew some ass kicker, bro. I'm going to tell you. He put him up. And on our way home, I was riding with Tim Decker. And I said, he has some good fucking birds. I said, he's going to make us work. I said, I like it. I like it. And Tim was like, Because Johnny had flown some badass birds.
Get you out of your comfort zone, man.
He was going to have to work.
Yeah.
And Johnny had a bunch of spinners that day, boy. He put a bunch of them up there. He put a bunch of good ones, boy. And I was driving home just like, luckily, I paired with a guy like Johnny who was very, had high standards.
Yes.
But hard-headed.
Yeah.
And so I'd have to prove stuff to Johnny. You couldn't just tell Johnny. And Johnny was a slow learner and some of that shit, but he got it. When he got it, he got it. You know what I mean? And then but it was like I learned from him and he learned from me.
Yeah.
We learned together. It should be. Yeah, we learned together. I would tell him stuff and Johnny would have to prove it to himself. I told Johnny, I ain't gonna tell you no secrets, but I told Johnny, if you feed him this, you can keep him low. And Johnny's first for getting high. I said, Johnny, if you feed him this, you can keep him low.
Right.
I told him that shit for years before he finally got, you know what, that works, Robert. Really, fucking Johnny?
Right.
I've been telling you that shit for 2 years. And you can control him with this, Johnny. Do this. Right. And he finally got it. But, he was just, you just got to prove it to Johnny. Like, Johnny just ain't going to take your word. You got to prove. And that's great. I love that because I'm going to have to prove some of his theories over here. You know what I mean? And we work back and forth like that. So
it's all to help you grow. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're dealing with somebody who has like high standards like you, or you guys are at kind of the same level, then you push each other.
Yeah.
We pushing each other.
Yeah.
Go further, Johnny. Yeah. Go further, Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
And on fly day, we was competitive with the motherfucker. It was probably more like 2004 or 5. Walter Till, whatever year Walter Till won the national fly.
Yes.
He had 1,500 points.
Yes. I remember that.
Okay, so I was flying, and I made it to the finals too. That year, I had the best kid I've ever fucking had in my life that I've ever had. 5-6-year-old birds. Walter Till had 1,500 points, bro. I wasn't worried about that. I was going to get that.
Period.
I knew it. So, Santa Ana winds blew that day, bro, and they got to my house late. You know, like here when the Santa Anas blow, they get stronger as the day goes by. If they would have got there on time, I might have been able to get it in. But I went ahead. As soon as they got there, Marshall brought the judge. I can't remember his name. Immediately, I went down. We had 100 people in my yard that day. I let the birds out. The birds would turn and break. And every time they broke, they got blown further away. Till we couldn't even see them anymore. In about 5 minutes, I had over 600 points. And it was dead silent in my yard, bro.
Silent.
Nobody was saying nothing. And I was like, like we were talking about, I was like, God, how come you didn't let me show them? I had something special.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep from Thursday. I flew that Saturday. I didn't sleep since Thursday. I brought my wife out at the time. I brought her out. I said, you need to see this. I have never seen this. You need to see this. I knew the kid was ready. They got better as the fly went on.
Yeah.
In the first 5 minutes, I had over 600 points. Couldn't see the birds anymore. It was over. And then, after the fly was over, it was just quiet, bro. And I had that big yard there.
Because everybody got to see what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, everybody was quiet. And then they came up to me and they were like, as they were leaving, they were just like, man, I hope you get them back. And I was like, they're coming back. They're 5-6-year-old birds. They're going to come back.
Yeah.
It's just that they were just working too hard.
Yeah.
The wind was blowing, they were working hard. Eventually they'll stop and then they'll come on home. Then I got them all back. And as a matter of fact, right after that, somebody offered me ridiculous money. And I sold the whole team to them. But that was, if I had to say my best team, not the one I won the World Cup with, that was a good team.
Gotcha.
These flies we've had recently, those were good teams. That team was just so explosive, Steve, where they would turn and just everybody break. I had 60 footers in there.
Man, I seen Kevin McRae do that one time. And it was so many guys in that yard and so silent.
Yes.
You could hear a pin drop on the grass, bro. It was that quiet back there. And I mean, when I tell you this guy flew birds, man, all the birds were 40-something feet. They were deep.
Right.
But when they roll, you would get 10, 15, 12 just rolling at one time.
Right.
And they all roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as they fly back to the kit, nobody roll. They all fly.
We
all
call
the
that,
way
yeah.
back up, man.
We call that no wasted money.
No wasted money.
You didn't waste no money. You ain't rolling unless we're scoring. When you're rolling, we're getting money. You know what I mean?
Changed my life forever when I saw
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Changed my life.
You very rarely see that in a young kid. I seen that. Of course, I seen it in my yard. I ain't gonna use myself. I seen it at Johnny's house one time. Johnny had an outstanding young bird team. And they would go, Steve, and they were flying the first thing I always want my teams to do before they even start rolling is fly a good pattern.
Yeah, get it together.
Yeah. So Johnny's was flying. He had them trained so well. They were flying that good pattern, and they would break, and they would all just get back together, break, and they didn't leave each other. You know what I mean? Like they stayed, even though I always say I had one time on one of these QSD flies, I had a 60-footer. It was a grandson to the Sizzlecop that never left the kit. How do you have a 60-footer that never leaves the kit? Because the kit don't leave the bird. You know what I mean? He would roll and they would wait for him. And then he'd get right back in. And that's how Johnny had a young bird kit that did that. I was so
When they're
impressed.
relatives, they do that, man. When everybody's relative.
Everybody's thinking the same.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same mentality.
Yeah.
The same metabolism.
Yep.
That's important. Yeah. That's the one thing I find super important because these are athletes.
Period.
That's how I look at them. These are not my pets.
Athletes,
they're fucking athletes, man. I gotta watch what they eat, and I gotta give them what
need,
enough.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I gotta make sure they have all the nutrition. I'm watching protein, how much protein they're getting. What I feed these birds is super important.
Yeah.
Most important
It
part,
is.
because these guys are gonna get trained. I mean, if I'll go out here and release them, they're gonna get the work in that way. Now you gotta control how much of the feed and what kind of feed and the quality of the feed and all that stuff is super important. And then, if you're trying to get ready for a fly, you can manipulate how good they roll depending on what you fed them and how far in advance you gave it to them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Knowing when it's going to take effect.
Right. Exactly. You have to know all
You got to know
shit.
that, man.
Not everybody knows that.
No.
Not
They don't
everybody
get that
knows
deep, bro.
Oh, they don't want to get
No,
we
it's
can
too
go
much
even
responsibility.
deeper. We can go even deeper. If you really want to go deep, start getting into the genetics.
Yeah.
When I talk genetics with these birds, there's only one person I can talk to about it. That's Johnny.
Johnny, man. He's a scientist.
He is, bro. Me and Johnny, we're on that same level.
Yeah.
I would sit out here and talk with Johnny, and my girl would be here listening. And she's like, you guys are talking another language. She couldn't even understand what we were talking about. Most people don't want to learn that side, but I always felt like the more you know, the better you are. You know, like the more I understand this bird, then I can say stuff like, I can make rollers whenever I want.
Right.
People might say that is arrogant.
Right.
It's not arrogant, bro. I know
It's
exactly. I can go in here and make whatever I fucking want.
Right.
I understand what I have.
Yes.
And I understand the genetics behind them.
Yes, that's me.
And yeah, if you got that up here, I make rollers whenever the fuck I want to. People don't understand. People who know me before we couldn't fly anymore, I would do 2 different types of breedings. I would breed 1 year, I would breed to kill them in competition. I would be putting all my spinners together. I'm trying to make so much fire that you can't handle it, right? Yeah. And then the next year, I would go back to trying to make stock birds. And stock birds aren't necessarily fire.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Right.
But I was trying to make sure I didn't go too far away, I didn't lose the gene that I was trying to cultivate
I'm doing
towards.
that right now.
Yes, you have to do that.
Yes.
You got to take care of the stud first.
Yes.
The fire that'll always be
yes.
there. You know, if you got quality rollers that you're starting with, I didn't put nothing else in here. Can't nothing but Birmingham rollers come out of here.
Yeah, period.
No choice.
Period.
The genetics are there. And I have cultivated towards that. You know what I mean? I've eliminated and I've cultivated towards putting birds, like you were talking about earlier. I've cultivated towards the birds that win me competition. You know what I mean? I like velocity. I like a certain kind of velocity. So that means style and where the wing placement is. I like certain things, right? I don't want to be the first good kid he sees. He may not know what he just saw. I want him to see those birds that roll so fucking tight that you're not going to see a hole. Because there's no hole. These birds are so tight in the spin. I want him to see that before he sees it here. I want him to see a good kid. Then come here and I have mine good. Now he's already
measured now.
Yeah. Now I can go. Yeah. He knows what he's seeing now. If he hasn't seen it or he's not used to that,
respect it.
Exactly. He has to see it first. So I don't want this to be a surprise. Yeah. You pop up over here.
No,
yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah, I don't want that. I want you to already have seen it, judge a couple good kids, then come over here. You know what I mean? Then show up here. You're already ready. Now you're ready to call it when you see it. Because I've heard guys call it and I've seen everything.
I'm sure you have.
Just been in it too long. I've seen it all.
You know, everybody knows that you're what I call a Higginite.
Yeah, I've heard that shit.
Did you ever want to get norm birds as well?
No. I'm the type that, 2 reasons. I respect Norman, what he's done with the birds, but I never got a bird from Norman. I'm gonna say that because I've seen him on video say that I won World Cups with his birds. I never got a bird from Norm. I don't even think I had a bird that Norm even raised until we were talking about earlier, Gary Salt. When he got out, I got a couple of those birds that Norm raised. And then I bought a bird from Roy Traherne one time that was a Norm Reed raised pigeon. And I used those, you know, and they're part of probably someone way back in what's here now. I have always been a believer in my own eye because I don't think everybody sees the birds the way I do. I need to sit with you or anybody under a couple kits and we need to pick out the same birds so I can know that your quality, you looking at what I'm looking at. I had that with Jerry. I had that with Johnny. So those are pretty much the only 2 guys that I would want. That if they said, "Hey, Robert, this is a fucking great spinner,"
but you would trust in that.
I ain't thinking twice. It's a good spinner. I know that. So I can trust that and I can put it into my loft. Because I don't trust other people's eye and I don't know if they see what I see. Not that they may. I just have to prove that to myself. I never really wanted birds from anybody else. So I just cultivated, and I always believed in line breeding and inbreeding. I do a hell of a lot of inbreeding, a whole lot of inbreeding, and I believe in, so when you know genetics and you breed that way, you're thinking percentages, and you know that you increase your percentages by putting multiple copies of the same gene into a mating. Now that champion can pop back out at a faster rate or more frequently. But it's up to you to recognize it when it happens. You have to see that champion. You have to know what you're looking for. So for me, the genetics and the way I breed, it doesn't really... I'm opening up the gene pool if I bring somebody else's bird in. And I've done that. And let me tell you how I did it. I took the birds a few years ago from Johnny. When Johnny was still flying and, flying rollers and being barrel competitive. I took a bird off of Johnny's best cock and I took a bird off of Johnny's best hen. And the first thing I did was I took those birds and I paired them together that first year and I raised a bunch of birds out of them. And they were pretty good, bro. I think about 4 or 5 of those birds made it to my #1 kit. I could fly them in my competition kit. So at that point, I felt pretty confident that they could match my birds. And then at that point, I took the cock and the hen and I mated them to my core pigeons. Mated them right to my core pigeons. Now I want to see how they handle with mine. That worked pretty well too. And then now I had somewhere to go because I could see that not only were they good, but they matched good with my bird.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's how I do it. You know what I mean? If I was gonna do it, it'd have to come from somebody who was a reputable breeder, who I knew had the same eye, looked for the same qualities as I do. Because a good bird to me may not be a good bird to somebody else, or vice versa.
For me, I've seen a lot of different likes, people liking a lot of different things. Like I've seen, you know, I can be in somebody's yard and watch a kid and watch them do what they do and not be moved at all.
Right.
Just to be honest.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, so I have to, yeah, like you're saying, I have to know that your eye is similar. We breed for the same qualities.
Not just the bird moving or not just.
Right. And a lot of people, man, I know some good guys who've had a lot of success.
Yeah.
That breed for performance only. A lot of guys just breed for that performance. They just want to see an outstanding spinner up there.
Yeah.
And that's great, but I have taken that outstanding spinner and I've taken his brother, which probably was a good roller.
Right.
Bred them both, and this one outperformed the superstar. I've had that happen many times, and I know lots of top guys
in your family
that has had that happen. So I'm not always just looking for the good, the superstar spinner.
Yeah.
That's one of the qualities. It's an important quality, but I'll tell you right now, my top quality that I look for in my rollers is tight. They got to have the body. I don't want a physique on my bird. He got to have that body on him. If he has that, I can work around everything else. Yeah. I know the roll's there because I'm only dealing with Birmingham rollers.
Right.
It's in there. Now, I might have a use for that bird. I might not, but the body has got to be there. When we start showing you birds in a minute, you're going to see a certain type on these birds. These are athletes.
Well, I saw a guy posting your birds the other day. You hooked somebody up. I said, man, Robert, this dude up.
I did. Fire. I want that guy to be successful. Man. He kept coming back. He kept coming back and kept picking them up.
Because I don't like everybody's pigeons that's posted, whether they're nice or not. I like certain stuff. I just can't help that.
Right.
And he posted a couple. I waited. He posted something else. I was like, okay, man, I like that one right there, man. Yeah. You know, and I was teasing him, like, you need to come let me get that, you know?
I hope
knowing that my foundation comes off at one of your cocks, man,
right.
You know?
Yeah, he's gonna be, I'm pretty sure where he is got that, like, he's a beginner, but he has that mentality that he's gonna spend some time in the backyard.
Okay, because he got them looking good.
He's got the birds. He's got the birds. If he does what I told him to do, go home and just breed a bunch of them. Breed as many as you can. Fly the shit out of them. You're going to go over there and you're going to be impressed. He may not fly a great hit at first. He has to figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
Because he's new to these birds.
Yeah.
So he's got to figure some stuff out. But he's smart enough, and I see he's persistent enough, that he's already hit me back on questions on this and on that. And okay, so his kid is serious. He wants to do something, and he's not afraid to ask the right person. You know what I mean? Ask the person you got him from. So he's asking the right questions. I'm sure he's going to have some fun, first of all.
Right.
Because you're going to have birds rolling out the sky. Because like I said, type is the most important. Yeah. Absolutely the most important. And I'm going to tell you something, bro. The people that I know who have had great success that like Jerry, like back in the old school guys, that Jerry really admired, always said this guy knew type better than anybody. And I've been listening to that. He knew type better than anybody. Norm Reed knew type better than anybody. Bob Scott knew type. And they were those guys were leading the way at the time. You know who else knew it, bro? And I never met this guy, but I guarantee you he knew it. Was the guy who was the guy in San Diego? That's
Jack Annette. Richard,
Jack Annette. I never met the guy. Never went to his house. I don't have to. I can tell you for sure. As many birds as he was rolling, I seen his birds roll in our club. Fred Wimberger got a kit from him. And Fred Wimberger is kind of like we were talking about Ron Duncan earlier. Fred was not a great pigeon man. But Fred had the money to go buy a kit from Jack Annette, right? Fred kicked our ass with those birds too. And they were different than ours. They flew low and they rolled frequently and they rolled together. We had these old Pinson birds at the time that flew high. You know, they rolled deep, but they flew really, really high out of the sky, you know?
Wow.
And he did it twice. He went down there and he bought birds from him twice from Jack Annette. So I can tell you for sure, what Jack Annette was putting together, he understood the balance and he understood type. He had to. And I study his pedigrees because I want to see when he had a certain color, how he would mate it. He was consistent. That motherfucker was consistent. Because I studied a lot of his pedigrees. And I was looking at the colors. Like, I wish the ones you showed me earlier had color behind them. But remember I told you, that's a red checker. I knew that was a red checker. That 981, that was a black hen. I know those birds. But I didn't know his birds, but I paid attention to color. Because Pensum said color is real close to character. Pensum has that in his book. Pensum was right on. But Pensum knew type better than everybody back then too, right? He was ahead of everybody. Jack Annette, he was ahead of everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, he was ahead of everybody. And that's
really.
And we gotta thank him because that's all those Norm birds come through that line. They come through Jack Annette.
Oh.
They do.
Okay.
So we gotta
and
thank
Houghton,
him.
Right?
Yep. Houghton, those birds, yeah. Because Houghton's before Richard Jack Annette. He's before Jack Annette. The Espinoza was the Houghton connection.
Gotcha.
Okay. Espinoza sent birds to Jack Annette. Jack Annette's birds ended up Norman Reed. Norman Reed's birds ended up Higgins. I gotta thank these guys, you know. You can see my family tree,
they
right?
Was working their asses off,
and they end up here. Now they're in Paris.
Yeah.
That ain't one.
Yeah.
But now they're in Paris, right? So we gotta thank those guys.
Yeah. Period.
Yes, they ended up. They just went down the tree and they ended up. Now they're here, and then they'll go on. They'll go to Steve's house. And they'll go to wherever. This new kid, you know. Hopefully, I hope that he understands what he has. It's just gonna take him, you know.
He got to get to know him,
right?
You know. And it took me years to know the birds the way I wanted once I got them from Jerry. You know. And then what I did was I bred those a certain way. I started developing Kobe. As soon as I seen what I had with that pair, I started developing mine right along with my Norm. You know, I just started working, like you said, my subfamilies. Right. Because I know that the Norm stuff always enhanced. But I would only use, it wasn't a lot. I didn't go get 4 Norm pigeons. I only went and got 1 or 2 to enhance what I needed. Just like with the cookie bird from Ron Duncan. That's just 1 hen. But every black model or little black whatever you see with that grizzle on it, you know it's out of that one.
Because there's a trait. So you follow traits.
1 hen.
You follow traits. I follow traits. But see, I'm into the genetic side.
That's what I'm into it, man.
And that's where people don't want to go. But that's me. You know what I mean? That's helped me to cultivate to where I'm at. That's helped me to be consistent. And it's helped me to stay hungry. I actually love that part of the game. I love the genetic. I love going in there when I'm breeding and looking in the nest and seeing what's coming. Did I get what I was trying? Did I get what I was trying to produce?
For?
Yeah. So that's fun for me too.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun for me. And it actually kind of gave me my swag back a little bit because we haven't been able to fly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a flyer, and I've always flown roller since we've been doing this game. That's been me. I'm a competition guy. I want to win.
Yeah.
I live for that shit. I want to beat your ass on competition day. I love that. I love it. But we haven't been able to do that.
Yeah.
So I had, my joy was gone a little bit. And actually breeding some, and I sold some, and I never do that, but I sold some young birds to a few guys. And it was good for me though, because like I said, I was able to kind of get my swag. Like I got back into it a little bit. I seen some birds come out. I was like, oh, okay, I like it.
Some fire.
Yeah, it's here. It's still here. It ain't going nowhere. And I was able to help some people too in the process.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The guys have been happy. I've gotten a lot of feedback from those guys who took those babies, and I mean that's for them it might have been the best way, and it was a once in a lifetime deal because I'm not giving up babies when I don't know what they are. I'd much rather give you a spinner. I give you a spinner all day. Yeah. I want to see it spin. I want to see. Well, you don't know if you're giving up your champion. You could be giving up the bird that takes you to the next level. Yeah. As a baby, you don't know. And I've had birds that I didn't like as babies, and then they mature up. Like, wow. Yeah, he filled out and just, he blossomed.
Like, glad you didn't push him out somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Too, and I've done the other two, man. I did the bird I'm going to show you in a minute, a 7/8 Sizzle. I sold a bunch of those as babies. I sold one to, I gave one to Jerry, but I sold one to Sal Mendez. And when I seen that bird, dude, I fucking regretted it. Man. I didn't care about the money. I regretted that. I didn't have it. I couldn't use it. You know what I mean? I didn't have it in my possession to push me forward. They were fucking beautiful, man. And that Sal Mendes one was nice. And, you know, he paid good money for it. So, he deserved it. But the next year, that's actually why I did that mating twice. Because the next year, I didn't let none of them go.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, my birds are 09s, and because I haven't been breeding for a while. I haven't had a backyard. But so before I move, what I've been doing is just making breeders, going through my records and putting birds down to get my family, get my stock back up, and then I'll produce the rollers when I get.
I've done the same thing. I'm gonna show you that later. We ain't gonna put that on film, but I'm gonna show you later. I did the same thing. Wait till you see what I got over there.
I know it's ridiculous. I already know, man. I already know.
Oh my God!
I can imagine, man.
Like,
we have to do that, man.
Well, we and really with us, we lost those couple of years.
Yes.
And for me, I know guys were still flying and doing stuff, but I wouldn't risk what I had, because I'm gonna tell you, when we at the Newcastle, you know, and they were coming, they were killing. They got my buddy Frankie. They killed all his birds. Yeah, they showed up at 6 a.m. and killed everything. Pigeons, ducks, doves, everything. They killed everything. If they ever come back here and kill everything,
what did they kill them with? Give them shots?
I don't know how they killed them. I didn't ask that. But they killed everything on the property, bro. If they would have caught me and done that,
that's it. You can't rebuild. You can't even.
I would have been done. So I, you know, there was guys still flying. I didn't fly. I kept everything locked in. I didn't bring no attention to me.
Period.
I didn't even want to go on social media saying anything. Like, I have pigeons. You know what I mean? I just tried to stay low. Yeah, and that's hard because I wasn't having no fun.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wasn't having fun with birds, but I did that because I just felt like what I have, I couldn't get back, and if I lost it, then I'm done.
Yeah, because that's how I feel. I was so fortunate to have somebody that could look out for my birds while I wasn't able to care for them the way I, you know. My buddy Bees, DJ Bees, he saved my life. You know, he really kept the birds. He's bred a whole family out of the birds.
Really?
Oh man, his whole stock is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I can get cousins from him at any given time. See something. What is that?
That's how it should
What
be,
is
though.
that out of?
It's good when you have somebody like that. Like, you know, me and Johnny were kind of like that.
He breeds different.
Yeah, and even like, okay, so Frankie got in the birds, and then they killed all his birds, but he's back. He's coming back, and he would take them and he would breed them different than me, and I'd be like, yeah, but I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna watch how that happens over here. How's that mating going? Let me show me one of those. You know what I mean? So I can learn from that.
That's what I just did.
Yeah,
man.
That's beneficial to you.
Yeah.
It's beneficial to me.
Because he's generations down in his breedings. He's further down than me in generations now because of the way he's taking them in, you know, the sub-families. He's got certain birds with all the sub-families together.
And you watch, you'll see.
And I'm like, whoa, I never put the cookie with the Kobe. That's not what I'm doing here. But he's doing it. Right. And I mean, fire. I'm like, oh. Okay, I'm gonna try it. You know,
he might make you try it.
Yeah, I'll figure something
I've had
out.
Make me stock them. I was like, I'm never stocking that one.
Me too.
She's too good. I gotta give her a shot. You know, but yeah, that happened, and that's good. That's okay. But I tell you, I like that when somebody else is doing different things, because you can learn, and it's not your backyard, but you learn from what they're doing and their experiences. There's some people I'm coming for this next year, but it ain't gonna be free. I'm gonna tell you right now, it ain't gonna be free. You're gonna have to bring your money. If you want to put some money on it, I ain't talking little money either. Yeah. Put some money on it.
Yeah.
I'll spend my time in the backyard. I'll fuck work. I'll spend my time in the backyard. I'll fly the birds. I'll take the sick days, and then we can fly. And I'm gonna take your money.
Real flies.
Real flies.
Real flies.
No bullshit, dog.
Yeah.
No bullshit.
I'm
I don't
with
want to
you
hear all that, and then I don't want to
love
hear your
it.
mouth ever again. Don't ever fucking challenge me again. You know what I mean? But and do it in public. Do it in front of my face.
Yeah.
Do it. Call me out in front of everybody. I want to see it.
Yeah.
You know, because motherfuckers think that I don't know how to fly. Really? Or Jerry? There ain't a Jerry bird on the property. There ain't a bird on this property that I didn't raise.
Gotcha.
Unless you're talking race birds.
Right.
But that's new. I'm going to win in that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's new.
Yeah.
But I got some race birds here. Now, they're all raised by Johnny. But it's okay. You know what I mean? The rollers?
Robert Parker.
With me with the rollers.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with me with the rollers. Now, if I especially make me mad. Basketball all 4 years of high school. He didn't beat me till he was a senior. I never let him beat me. You can't. You got to beat me. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way.
When he beat me, he talked shit to me, but I talked shit to him all those years growing up. You know what I'm
So
saying?
he deserves it now.
I conceded at that way because you beat me, but I never let you beat me. So he knew when he beat me, he really beat me. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
I'm not gonna let you win.
Yeah, and that make him tough.
Oh right, yeah. That's my, and he's gonna be a surgeon, bro. I'm so proud of that kid.
That's so awesome.
He's almost through medical school. He's got another year and a half to go.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, bro. Goes to UC San Francisco. Got a full tuition scholarship. He gonna graduate, bro, from medical school debt free. Debt free. Most of those doctors are $500,000 in debt. This kid's gonna be ready to start his life.
That's so awesome, man.
So blessed, brother.
Dang.
So blessed.
Good job, good parent, man. You know, you kept your end of the bargain for him.
Yeah, I told him when he was trying to get into medical school, I was telling him like, don't worry about how to pay for it. We will figure that one out. Just get in. You can get in. We gonna figure that one out. Luckily, he got into 9 medical schools. Got 5 full tuition scholarships, including USC. UC San Francisco, which is the number 4 medical school at the time when he got accepted, offered him not only the tuition, the cost of living. They offered everything. The best school offered the best program. So it was like, you just talk about a blessing, bro.
Golly, that's so awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm so proud of that kid, man. He's just an awesome kid, you know?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Anyway, you want to see some birds?
Heck yeah. Let's do it.